In the heart of Eastern Europe, a dramatic question now grips the world. Is Alexander Lukashenko, the long-standing ruler of Belarus, turning his back on his closest ally Vladimir Putin? The once ironclad relationship between Minsk and Moscow now appears to be shaking under the weight of political pressure, economic strain, and growing unrest inside Belarus. This story matters not only for Russia and Belarus, but for the entire balance of power in the region. It could redefine alliances, redraw strategies, and send shockwaves far beyond the borders of these two countries. The summary is simple. Lukashenko is caught in the middle of Russia's war ambitions and Belarus's survival needs, and the world is watching to see whether he will betray Putin or tighten his grip even further. Hello everyone, welcome back to the World Conflict Monitor channel. Please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the latest updates on global crises, wars, and political upheavals. Today, we break down the question of Belarus in chaos and whether Lukashenko is truly betraying Putin. We will analyze this situation through a unique perspective, looking at it the way one might review a powerful, complex machine, examining its exterior, its interior, its performance under pressure, its safety mechanisms, its unique selling points, and of course the ultimate cost of its survival. From the exterior, Belarus has always appeared like a loyal satellite to Moscow. For decades, Lukashenko has positioned his country as Russia's most reliable ally in Europe, geographically important as a buffer state between NATO countries and Russia itself. The exterior view of this relationship is strong, hard, and seemingly unbreakable. Russian troops have used Belarusian territory as a staging ground for operations in Ukraine. Russian fuel and resources have propped up Belarus's fragile economy, and Lukashenko's authoritarian system has been reinforced with Moscow's political and security backing. To the outside world, the exterior looked polished, a partnership forged in shared ideology and necessity, but now cracks are beginning to show in that armor. The sanctions regime against both Moscow and Minsk has weakened trade. Belarusian citizens are increasingly uneasy about being dragged deeper into the war, and Lukashenko himself faces the risk of losing control if he leans too far toward Putin's demands. The exterior that once seemed solid is beginning to look fragile, like a powerful machine whose bodywork hides internal corrosion. Inside, the interior is far less reassuring. The short truth is that Lukashenko's government is deeply divided. Some of his inner circle remain staunchly pro-Russian, believing that Belarus's fate is permanently tied to Moscow, but others quietly argue that Belarus must carve out some space for independence if it wants to survive. The Belarusian people themselves have shown, through protests in 2020 and underground resistance networks today, that they do not want to become fully absorbed into Russia's war machine. This interior reality is cramped, uncomfortable, and filled with pressure. Lukashenko may speak loudly in support of Putin in public, but behind closed doors he has resisted sending Belarusian troops directly into Ukraine. He fears the backlash, the loss of lives, and the possibility that his already shaky grip on power would collapse if Belarusians were forced into a bloody war not of their choosing. The interior, in short, is filled with contradictions, unease, and fear. When it comes to performance, Belarus under Lukashenko has tried to balance on a razor's edge. His government's performance is judged by Moscow on one side and the Belarusian population on the other. For Russia, Lukashenko's performance has been uneven. He has allowed weapons and troops through, but he has not delivered the full-scale involvement Putin wanted. For his people, his performance is even worse. Many Belarusians see him as a dictator who rigged elections, crushed dissent, and now risks selling their sovereignty to Moscow. Internationally, his performance has isolated Belarus further, cutting off ties with the European Union, destroying potential trade opportunities, and chaining the economy to Russia's sinking fortunes. The performance statistics of this political machine are grim. The economy is shrinking, the currency is unstable, foreign investment is fleeing, and the people's patience is thinning. Lukashenko is performing on a stage where every move is judged, criticized, and feared, but where he cannot afford to step off. Now, what about safety features? Every strong machine or system is supposed to have protections in place to prevent catastrophic failure. For Lukashenko, those safety features have always been his tight control of the security services, his monopoly on media, and his ability to play Russia and the West against each other. But those safety features are starting to fail. The Belarusian KGB and police forces can suppress protests, but they cannot stop a society from boiling beneath the surface. State propaganda can broadcast loyalty to Russia, but it cannot erase the frustration people feel when prices rise and freedoms shrink. Playing Russia against the West used to give Lukashenko some room for maneuver, but now that room has collapsed. Sanctions from the West leave him almost entirely dependent on Moscow, while Moscow itself demands ever greater loyalty. His emergency brakes are weak, his airbags are thin, and his protective armor is dented. If a true crisis erupts, such as mass protests or Russian attempts to directly control Belarus, Lukashenko may find his safety features insufficient to save him. The unique selling points of Belarus's position are also worth examining. Unlike other Russian allies, Belarus is geographically crucial. It borders Ukraine to the south, Poland and Lithuania to the west, and Russia to the east. This makes it a strategic prize, a launching pad, a corridor, and a shield all in one. For Russia, the unique selling point of Belarus is clear. It gives direct access to NATO's eastern flank and a closer grip on Ukraine. For Lukashenko, his unique selling point has been his ability to offer Russia that geography in exchange for money, oil, and protection. But this unique position is also his greatest weakness. Without Russia, Belarus loses its main economic lifeline. Without the West, it loses any chance of political legitimacy. Lukashenko has been selling Belarus's location for decades, but the market for that deal is shrinking and buyers are no longer offering favorable terms. When we think about the price, the calculation becomes brutal. What is the price of Lukashenko's loyalty to Putin? It has cost Belarus its international credibility, its independence of action, and its future economic stability. What is the price of betraying Putin? It could be even higher. Moscow has the power to destabilize Belarus, to push for regime change, or even to intervene directly. For Lukashenko personally, the price of choosing wrong could be the loss of his presidency, his freedom, or even his life. For the Belarusian people, the price is already being paid. They face sanctions, declining living standards, censorship, and the looming risk of being dragged into a war that is not theirs. The currency of this price is not just money, it is blood, sovereignty, and dignity. The longer Lukashenko tries to avoid paying, the higher the eventual bill will be. In conclusion, the story of Belarus today is like watching a machine in slow-motion failure. The exterior may still look strong, the paint still shines under the light, but inside the gears grind and the oil leaks. Performance is faltering, safety systems are failing, and the price of running this machine is becoming unsustainable. Lukashenko stands at a crossroads: betray Putin and risk immediate retaliation, or cling to Putin and risk losing the people of Belarus forever. Either way, chaos looms on the horizon. The world must watch closely, because what happens in Minsk will not stay in Minsk, it will ripple across Ukraine, Russia, NATO, and beyond. And that is why the question, is Lukashenko betraying Putin, is not just gossip or speculation. It is a real test of survival, of loyalty, of power, and of history in motion. Belarus is in chaos, Lukashenko is trapped, and Putin is watching every move. The outcome of this dangerous game will shape the next chapter of the war in Europe.